Hey guys, so in this tutorial, I just want to show you around the customizer and give you 5 tips that you can use to design a great looking form in Leadformly. So before we jump into that, I just want to give you kind of a quick overview on the various different ways that you can adjust and play with the look and feel of your form using this customizer. So there's actually 3 different ways that you can play with the look and feel. The first way is by choosing a theme. So themes are the fastest and easiest way that you can change the design and style of your form. So if we quickly choose a theme, you can see that by changing the theme, it changes the look and feel, but it keeps all of the questions and everything else the same. So, and you can then, the second way in which you can change the look and feel of your form is using this advanced styling tab. So if you're happy with most of what you can see in when you've chosen the theme, but perhaps there's something that isn't quite right, like for example, maybe we're not a huge fan of this progress bar, you can use the advanced styling tab to adjust any aspect of the form. So if we go to progress bar down here, we can change this progress bar from a dotted progress bar to a barber shop animated one. And then we can then adjust the design of this progress bar using all these fields. So if we want a slightly more square edges, we can change it to square edges. If we want to change the colors, we can adjust just using these kind of color pickers. Then we can make this a bit more transparent. So you can do something like that. So the third way in which you can change the design of your form, and this is the most advanced way of changing the styles in your form. It's by clicking any element, and then you'll see this black pop-up, which has an option for style. If you click on this, you'll see that you're able to add custom CSS styles to any element in your form. So this is really only if you're comfortable writing CSS, but if we wanted to write something like background equals red, you could do something like that and it would make the background of just that field red. So let's remove that. So they're the 3 different ways you can customize the look and feel of your form. As I say, using themes is the fastest and easiest way. Then you can use advanced styling to kind of make changes to that theme. And if you want to edit just one specific part of your form, you can use the style option on the black pop-up. Okay, so the first tip that I want to share with you is how to make your form match the colors and branding of your website. So if we start with the form background color, if we want to make the background of your form match the same kind of colors of your website, one of the easiest ways of doing this, if we click on the form container section in the side panel, one of the easiest ways of doing this is to actually make the background of your form transparent. So you can do this by just dragging this bar all the way to the left, and that will make the background of your form transparent. So when you embed it on your website, the background on your website will be the background of your form. So we can see an example of this here. So this is a Leadformly form with a transparent background embedded on a page that already has a dark background color. I believe this is also what we do on the leadformly.com, the Leadformly form we use for leadformly.com. We just have a form with a transparent background. Now, of course, this might make your form look a little bit strange when you're editing it in Leadformly, but it will, of course, look nice when you're embedding it onto your website. So what I usually like to do is when I'm building a form in Leadformly, I'll have a background color to it. And then when I embed it, I'll just make the background color transparent. If, for example, that you do want a certain background color to your form, perhaps you want it, a kind of a gray background color to make it pop out on your website, or if you want a specific color, what you can do and what I generally advise is you can install if you're using something like Chrome, you can install an eyedropper plugin. I use one called Colorzilla. And what this does is it allows you to pick anywhere on your website. You can click anywhere and it will find the exact color of what you've clicked on. So if I click here, for example, it will find the exact shade of purple and save it as what's called a hex code, which is 6 digits that represent the color. I can then paste that hex code into this section down here, and it will make the background color of my form that exact shade of purple. You can obviously use this to make sure that your fonts, your buttons, are all matching the exact colors that you're already using on your website. So that's how you can change the colors of your form to match your website. The second tip that I want to show you is how to add effects to images. I'm just going to set our background back to what it was. So if we go forward to step 2, we can see we've got these image select questions. Now, if you're using image select questions, you might want to know how do you kind of change the effects when someone hovers over them like this, or when someone clicks on them. You might want to add like a certain icon or a certain overlay. So the way to do this, again, if we go into the left-hand sidebar, click on Advanced Fields, select an image, and you'll notice at the top here, there's a section that says I want to change, and normally it's set to default style. Default style is basically, well, what users will see if they haven't interacted with that question. If you click on that drop down, you'll see there's also a hover style and an active style. So the hover style is basically what you want it to look like when someone hovers over that question. And active is when they click on it. So if we change this to hover style, you can see there's an option to add an overlay color and an icon, which we can see here when I hover over this. So if we want to change that icon, you can click on it and you can pick any of these. There's a whole library of icons that you can choose for the overlay. You can increase the size of the image, the color of the icon, and even change the overlay color. So if we want this to be perhaps a blue instead of a green, we can click here. Let's find a blue. What I'd usually recommend is adding a bit of transparency, because you can see if we do that, you can't see the image behind it. So I just drag this slide bar to the left a little bit, and then we can, it's not actually letting me hit the button because of the recording software is kind of in the way. But if I click off, there we go. We can see it's got a bit of a transparent background now. You can do the same with the active style. So this is when someone clicks on the image. So you can see there I've got a green overlay with a kind of a tick. So this just makes it really clear to users where their mouse is and which option they've clicked. Okay, so the next thing that I want to show you is how to change your progress bar. So if we just go back onto the side panel here again, progress bar, perhaps, if you want to change the design of your progress bar, perhaps if you want this to be a moving progress bar, what we can do is we've got a range of different styles. So we can click here, barbershop style animated, and you can see the progress bar starts moving. If you want to change the color of this, again, we can just use these kind of color pickers. So if we want to make it like a green, we can change the colors here. And all of these options you can kind of set to whatever you like. So you can do things like you could make this a really kind of thin, really thin progress bar, or you could go the opposite direction and make it quite a chunky one with square edges. So you can play around with all these settings until you've got something that you like the look of. Okie dokie. So the next thing I want to show you is somewhat related to what we talked about with the image select, but adding an effect so that when someone hovers over your fields, it kind of adds a sort of like a light effect, so it's clear where their mouse is. And you can also add this to the call to actions and the buttons so people can see what they're hovering over. So the way to do this, again, if we go to form fields, you can see we've got all of these default settings. We've just got a white background here with no border. If we want to add that light effect, you can go onto the hover style, and here you can see we've got a white background, but it's a little bit transparent. So we're just adding a bit of transparency to give the effect of it kind of having almost sort of like a light effect when they hover over any field. So just a really simple thing to do, but it's those little kind of touches that do add quite a lot and just make the form user experience a little bit nicer. So the final thing I want to show you is how to add text and images to your form. So you'll see up here, we have a section that says add element. So if you click on here, on that link, you can see you have the option to add text, images, buttons, videos, etc. into your form. So if you want to add, for example, if we go back to this form, you can see we've got text above the form and a little bit of stuff going on below the form as well. You could obviously add this in the web page directly if you wanted, but if you want to add it as a part of your form, some things that our users have done is on certain steps in their form, they might have an image of a report or an image with a testimonial as part of the form. So to do that, you would need to use this section. So all you need to do is, if you want to add some text, you can click it and then drag that element where you want it to appear. And then all you need to do to customize it is click on it. You can change. So this is a headline. Ooh. And you can then customize that text using the style settings. So we can make it a bit bigger. We can go 30 pixels. Font. So you will need to know a little bit of CSS to be able to play around with these. If you want to add images, you can just drag and drop and then upload an image from your computer. So really nice and easy to do, and just gives you a few more options on how you can customize your form. So I hope that's all been useful. Keep an eye out for tomorrow's tutorial, where we're going to be talking about integrations and how to power up your form with a few very, very interesting uses of Zapier.